Deganya, one of the oldest and most successful collective settlements in Palestine, was founded in 1909 on land of the Jewish National Fund. In 3 decades, it has grown from a cluster of pioneering huts into a brilliant model colony with 250 inhabitants, 60 homes, a dozen public buildings, and a sound financial record. Deganya is located at the southern end of historic Lake Kinneret. It is low-lying subtropical country. Properly tended, it is capable of astonishing fertility. Neglected, it degenerates into wilderness. 2,000 years ago, the shores of Lake Kinneret were densely populated. When the land of Israel passed into alien hands, the cities declined, the fields withered. An area fit to nourish hundreds of thousands supported a handful of shepherds and villagers in primitive oriental poverty. Deganya, like the 300 other agricultural settlements of the Jewish homeland, represents the end of that long interlude of desolation. Modern methods and modern machinery have been applied to the soil. Deep plowing by tractor is used for the more than 100 acres of wheat, barley, and other grain crops. The first tractors seen in Palestine were brought in by the Jews. So were the first American combines. So was the scientific treatment of the soil. The men who came out 30 years ago from the ghettos of Europe to found this colony had never handled a plow. But they were possessed by 3 ideals: land, liberty, and labor. Hence their capacity to endure and their ability to learn. Hence, to get down to cases, the 8 alfalfa crops produced every year by Deganya, a record not exceeded even by America's California. Some of the young men you see here working in the freedom of the fields of Palestine came yesterday out of the ruined Jewish communities of Germany and Poland. Side by side with the older colonists, they plow, plant, reap, build, their lives completely transformed, the horrors of persecution receding into a dim memory. For these newcomers, the violent transformation from the ghetto dweller into the land worker is easier than it was for the original founders of the colonies. Not that life is easy today, but the hunger, the malaria, the loneliness, the inexperience are gone. It is still hard work, but in a setting of success and of social warmth. The basis of the economy of Deganya is a balanced mixture of cash and subsistence crops. Milk is one of the most important items. By crossbreeding and scientific feeding, the yield of local cows has been raised from 200 to 1,200 gallons per annum. The milk is sterilized and pasteurized on the colony and sent via a cooperative sales organization to Haifa, Jerusalem, and Tel Aviv. The biggest income-producing item in Deganya is the banana crop, 20,000 bunches a year. 12,000 boxes of orange and grapefruit, 15,000 boxes of tomatoes are shipped out of Deganya every year. No colony of this size anywhere in the world has a better record. And all this would be impossible without the great irrigation system which is powered by the Rutenburg electrical station, and without the equipment provided by the United Palestine Appeal. The principle of diversification as applied in Deganya extends beyond the agricultural. Deganya is not just a farming settlement. It is a miniature world with social and psychological as well as economic problems. A good colonist is handy at half a dozen trades. He can handle a tractor, milk a cow, mow a field, plant a tree, mix cement, and build a barn. There is also a maritime life in Deganya. For Lake Kinneret is a body of water 60 miles in area, teeming with fish and capable of considerable storms. Seamanship is a sport and a trade for many young Jews of this region. On the shores of the Mediterranean, less than 50 miles from here, there are Jewish fleets of fishing boats. But Jewish sailors can get their first training on the waters of Kinneret, and they take to the water with the same skill as they took to the land. There is a saying among the colonists of Palestine: he who works the land must be able to defend his crops. More than 30 years ago, the Jews settling in Palestine made up their minds to organize their own self-defense and to rely on no hired guards. This was part of the completeness of a national revival. The shomer, or watchman, has become a tradition in the Jewish life of Palestine, and the settlement of 500,000 Jews in the homeland has cost the lives of some hundreds of devoted young men. But there has never been a lack of volunteers for the service. Today, there are in Palestine tens of thousands of young Jews trained in the use of arms. Every colony has its watchtower, its system of defenses, and its organized body of soldier farmers. The role of the women in our colonies may be less thrilling than that of the men, but it is as basic. There are domestic tasks, and there are those divisions of farm labor which call for the feminine qualities of care and attentiveness. Chicken breeding, for instance. The Jews of Palestine used to import tens of millions of eggs annually. Today they are practically independent in this item, and tomorrow they will become exporters in turn. In the vineyards too, women take over a large proportion of the work. The grapes of Palestine rank with the world's best. Like the oranges of Palestine, they are exported in times of peace to every part of Europe. But supremely, the women on the colonies contribute to the education of the young. The pioneers of Palestine are concerned with something more than the problem of a single generation of refugees. They have always asked themselves, will the children in our colonies love the soil they are born on, cling to it, feel it as part of themselves? The answer lay in childhood training, happiness, strong associations, the Hebrew language, a feeling of belonging. These children are superbly happy, superbly balanced in outlook. The atmosphere in which they grow up is devoid of the terror and furtiveness which haunts the life of Jewry in so many parts of the world. There may be danger here, but not the humiliations and degradations of anti-Semitism. There are no scars on the minds of these little ones. Here is the nerve center of Deganya, its business administration. Deganya is paying back its loans to the United Palestine Appeal. The money is used to settle other colonists. Deganya is also taking in and training regular quotas of newcomers. Yesterday, they were refugees. Today, they are saviors of refugees. And now for the leisure hours of Deganya. When the day draws to a close, gong and bell sound the call for dinner. Then you may see them assembling from the fields, workshops and outposts of the colony. All the types, the old hand and the newcomer, the idealist who has given 30 years to the building of the enterprise, the refugee for whom it was prophetically built. The most important meal of the day is usually taken in common. In this, as in many other features, the kvutza or collective differs from the other types of colonies, like the semi-cooperative or the individualist farm. All three types are well developed in Palestine and have their protagonists and enthusiasts within the country and throughout the Jewish world which has helped to build them. There is room for all these types and need for all of them, for there is no regimentation of life in the Jewish homeland. Before the days of radio, the founders of the Jewish colonies of Palestine were aware of one great psychological and spiritual danger: that settling on the soil, they might relapse into an ignorant, reactionary peasant type. So from the beginning, they worked out a program of continuous intellectual activity. Discussion groups function throughout the year. Among the participants you see here are boys and girls from Germany, the youth aliyah, who have been in the country only a few months and are already completely at home. The level of discussion on modern problems is as high here as in the same age groups in any of the world's largest cities. But what the world's largest cities cannot offer is the beauty of the life of Deganya, symbolized by the great gardens which are the pride of the colony. Even if there were no persecution of Jews anywhere in the world, the life of the Jewish colonies of Palestine would be a significant addition to Jewish value and Jewish morale throughout the world. But in an age of trial which challenges Jewry at every point, this center of salvation represents the greatest single act of rescue in modern Jewish history.